So the circulatory system is a continuous circular body system. What is this? That includes the heart, veins, and vascular structures, which are blood vessels, arteries, capillaries, and veins. It is responsible for the transport of water and dissolved materials throughout the body, which includes oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and waste. This system transports oxygen from the lungs and nutrients from the digestive tract to every cell in the body, allowing for the continuation of cell metabolism. So the circulatory system also transports the waste products of cell metabolism to the lungs and kidneys where they can be expelled from the body. Without this important function, toxic substances would quickly build up in the body. So it's a filtration system which carries all the nutrients and waste. We don't want it to stay in our body, yeah? So let us look at the heart. This is a muscular organ that contracts at least once every second to pump blood throughout the body. It also has an extensive electrical system that initiates and coordinates its contractions. The two sides of the heart are separated by partitions, the interatrial septum and the interventricular septum. So both septa are complete so that two sides are autonomically, and functionally separated pumping units. The right side of the heart pumps blood through the pulmonary circulation, which is the lungs, while the left side of the heart pumps blood through the systematic circulation body. So we'll look at that shortly. And each large lower chamber is a ventricle. Sternum my apologies, I got fell off. See now?
You're in and out, you're very choppy. Trying to sort out some connection problems. Just give us a few. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Am I being heard?
Yes, a little
Yes,
clearer.
yes, we hear you.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying that the heart has 4 chambers, which maintains the blood in the circulatory system. It lies, each small upper chamber is an atrium and a large lower chamber is ventricle. So it lies immediately behind the sternum or breastbone and between the lungs. And I was asking if everybody know where their sternum is.
Yes.
Awesome. Good. So the apex or bottom of the heart is tilted to the left side. At rest, the heart pumps about 59 cc or 2 ounces of blood per minute and 5 quart per beat. Sorry, per beat and 5 quart per minute. So that's a lot. Yeah. During exercise, it pumps about 4 to 7.3 ounces per beat and 21 to 32 quarts per minute. So the adult human heart is about the size of a fist and weighs about 9 ounces or 250 to 350 milligrams. So it's small, but it does a lot of stuff, yeah? And this is it. It does a shape like this, how we always see it in wherever in the media or in books. So we have here, so we see the 4 chambers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it says the right side. We have the right side and the left side. The right side pumps blood through the pulmonary to the lungs and the left side to the body. So we see here, the right and the left. This is the left, this is the right. So there are 4 valves that control the flow of blood through the heart. They are the tricuspid valve, pulmonary valve, mitral valve, and aortic valve. The tricuspid valve is between the right atrium and the left ventricle. So the right atrium is here. Oops. And the left ventricle. It has 3 triangular cusps. As the right atrium contracts, the tricuspid valves open to allow blood to flow into the right ventricle. Then it closes to prevent blood from flowing back into the right atrium. So it's like a door. When you go in, you close the door behind you. Once the door is not working, you know it's going to leak back, go back where it was coming from. So the pulmonary valve is between the right ventricle and the pulmonary trunk. As the right ventricle contracts, the pulmonary valves open to allow blood to flow into the pulmonary trunk and the arteries. Then it closes to prevent blood from flowing back into the right ventricle. The mitral valve is between the right atrium and left ventricle, and it has 2 cusps, and it's also known as the bicuspid valves. As the left atrium contracts, the mitral valve opens to allow blood to flow into the left ventricle. then it closes to prevent blood from flowing back into the atrium. I am hearing a sound. Is somebody saying something? Then we have the aortic valve, which is between the left ventricle and the aorta. As the left ventricles contracts, the aortic valve opens to allow blood to flow into the aorta, then it closes to prevent blood from flowing back into the left ventricle. So the valves open at contraction and closes to prevent the blood, the backflow of blood. So this is what we just explained. So you see here the flow of blood, and these are the valves here. So it go in, out, and so forth. And then it shows the arrow where they go.
Sorry, sir. Is this the one
Sis, I'm not a sir.
correction was made? Some of these things again.
You're a bit muffled. I'm not hearing you quite clearly.
Okay, are you hearing me now?
Much better.
All right. Is it where the heartbeat sound is made?
Pardon?
Is it where the heartbeat sound is made?
Where?
Where when the valves open and close?
Contraction.
Okay.
Well, when the heart contracts, the valves open. So you would say that.
Okay.
Because when it contracts, it kind of get bigger and then, yeah. So it makes a sound.
Okay.
All right. The tricuspid and the mitral valves have chordae tendineae, a rope-like connective tissue attached to their valves leaflets. The other end of the chordae tendineae is anchored to small muscles of the walls of the ventricles. When the ventricles contract, these small muscles also contracts and pull on the chordae tendineae. This stabilizes the valve leaflets and keeps them firmly sealed together to keep the blood from flowing back into the atria, even during the strong force of contraction. The sound of valves closing are commonly known as lub-dub. That's the sound. This is made as the tricuspid valve closes, the lub, and then the first heart sound is abbreviated as S1, and the dup is made as the pulmonary and aortic valves closes. This second heart sound is known as abbreviated as S2. So S1 and S2. So that was what Sister Lo was asking about the beat. Okay. So the electrical stimulus that leads to contraction of the heart muscles thus originates in the heart itself, in the sinoatrial node or SA node, which is known as the heart's pacemaker. This node lies just in front of the opening of the superior vena cava, measures no more than a few milliliters, very small. It consists of heart cells that emit regular impulses. Because of the spontaneous discharge of the sinoatrial node, the heart muscle is automated. A completely isolated heart can contract on its own as long as its metabolic process remains intact. So even if the heart is taken out, it moves, it does its stuff by itself, as long as the process is still intact. The rate at which the cells of the SA node discharge is externally influenced through the autonomic nervous system, which sends nerve branches to the heart. So you see how everything is always in connect with each other. So nothing moves of its own. Always a connective system, how everything works, the body. Through their stimulatory and inhibitory influence, they determine the resultant heart rate. In adults at rest, this is between 60 to 74 beats a minute. In infants and young children, maybe between 100 to 120, so it's more. Tension, exertion, or fever may cause the rate of heart to vary between 55 and 200 beats a minute. So it depends on the situation. The human heart begins beating early in fetal life and continues regular beating throughout the lifespan of the individual. If the heart stops beating for more than 3 to 4 minutes, permanent brain damage may occur. Blood flow to the heart muscles itself also depends on the continued beating of the heart, and if this flow is stopped for more than a few minutes, as in heart attack, the heart muscles may be damaged to such a great extent that it may be irreversibly stopped. Wow. So even if the heart doesn't beat, if the heart stops for a short little time, it doesn't only affect the heart, but it affects other parts of the body, because it says it may cause permanent brain damage, amongst other stuff. So you show how everything is connected. The blood vessels are vascular channels through which blood circulates. Vasculature refers to the blood vessels associated with a particular organ. Blood vessels have a central opening or lumen through which the blood flows. And blood vessels are lined with endothelium, a smooth inner layer that promotes the flow of blood. There are 3 kinds of blood vessels: the arteries, capillaries, and veins. Each performs different function in the circulatory system. When you hear of arteries, what comes to your mind? The name is similar to something, a specific organ.
The heart.
Okay, the heart. The arteries are, pardon?
Repeat that question, please.
I was saying, when you heard the word arteries, what comes to your mind?
Okay, the heart.
The arteries are large blood vessels that branch into smaller arteries known as arterioles. And all arteries share some important characteristics and function. All arteries carry blood away from the heart to the body or to the lungs. So the arteries carry blood from the heart to the body and the lungs. And all arteries carry bright red blood that has high level of oxygen. So it's oxygenated blood, to be specific. The exception is the pulmonary arteries from the heart to the lungs. They carry dark red purple blood that is a low level of oxygen. So it's a deoxygenated blood. Right? Most arteries lie deep beneath the skin. A few, however, lie near the surface. Their walls bulge each time the heart contracts, and this can be felt as pulse. All arteries have smooth muscles. You can even do that, just go like this and you feel it, the pulse, like the blood moving or contracting. All arteries have smooth muscles in their walls. When the smooth muscle contracts, the lumen of the artery decreases in size, so it gets smaller, and the pressure of the blood in the artery increases. Let me go over that again. So when the smooth muscles contracts, or you call it vasoconstriction, the lumen of the artery decreases in size. So the hole that the blood flow through it gets smaller, and then the pressure rise. The artery increase the pressure of the blood. Then when the smooth muscle relax, and this is the dilation, the lumen of the artery increase in size, so it gets bigger, and the pressure of the blood of the artery decrease. So this opening here is the lumen, right? So when it contracts, it gets smaller, and when it relaxes, it gets bigger. So hence why you'd feel a pulse. Everybody with me? Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels in the body. The lumen of a capillary is so small that blood cells must pass through in single file. So it's like a little line, yeah? Capillaries are the connecting structures between arterioles and venules. An arteriole branches into a network of capillaries that reaches each cell in the body, and then the capillaries merge into a venule, which is vein. So the capillaries are smaller than the veins. Veins or small veins are known as venules combined to form a large vein. All veins share some important characteristics and function. They carry blood from the body to the lungs and lungs to the heart. So remember, arteries, what does arteries do? It carries blood from where to where?
From the heart.
The heart.
To where?
The rest of the body.
Oxygenated blood.
Oxygenated blood. All right, so what does the vein do now? It carries the blood from where to where?
From the organs back to the heart.
From the body to the lung.
All right, but they carry what kind of blood?
Oxygen.
All veins carry deoxygenated blood. Because remember, it's going back to the heart. The exception of the pulmonary, because remember, we are talking about the pulmonary artery, and now we're going to talk about the pulmonary vein, which is the exception. So the exception of the pulmonary vein from the lungs to the heart. So it's carry the blood from the lungs to the heart. And they carry bright red blood that has just picked up oxygen from the lung. So it's carrying the fresh oxygen from the lungs to the heart. Right? So that's a pulmonary vein. And remember that all the veins carry blood from the body and the lungs to the heart. And that's deoxygenated blood, except the pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Everybody with me? All right, so the large,
Yes, we are.
so the
So one
large,
question though. What is the difference between the vein and the artery?
the
Why
different,
meaning like their transportation, like the arteries that it takes the blood from the heart, and the veins which takes blood to the heart. What are the difference between that?
All right, so remember that the arteries are bigger, right? So it can handle the heart contractions and carrying the blood so, right? So remember, there's a difference between a truck and a car, and the weight and how they can carry what they can carry and the weight, right? So it's just the same with the veins and the heart. They are smaller, and they carry less amount of work because they carry the deoxygenated blood from the rest of the body to the heart. But this now, the arteries are doing the bulk of the work because they're dealing with the heart, and the heart contracts and so forth, and it can only, and the walls are thicker, right? So it
Okay.
can handle the pressure. Yeah.
Could I add something to that?
Go ahead.
One thing with the arteries is because the walls, as you have so mentioned, the walls are thicker and it has greater elasticity. So the blood flows through it with more pressure. So it's more oxygenated blood. It's under more pressure so that it can transport it to its various organs and into the various capillaries. While the vein now connects to these organs, it takes the deoxygenated blood. It has smaller walls are walls that are not so thick. It's also bigger and the blood is also under less pressure. Hence, lots of the times the veins will have valves to stop the blood from backflowing a lot of the times when it's not under great pressure. Normally when persons veins lose that kind of elasticity, especially with age, you find that that's how people end up with varicose veins and stuff like that because of the pooling of the blood and the blood not necessarily flowing through as much as it should be. So the main difference will be the thickness of the walls, the type of blood that is transported, and the size of the hole in the actual blood vessel itself.
Right. Thank you so much, brother Wesker. All
You
right.
take 5 more minutes, Sister Sean.
Oh, all right. Thank you. So the largest veins have valves that keep the blood flowing in one direction, back towards the heart. Direction was there twice. Many veins are near the surface of the body and can be seen just under the skin as bluish, sometimes bulging lines. I'm sure everybody can see it when they look at their hands. Some very colorful lines, especially if you have a light skin, you'll see it very clearly. Oxygen enters the bloodstream through tiny membranes in the lungs that absorbs oxygen as it is inhaled. So you see why it's important to get our nice oxygen. Yeah? As the body uses the oxygen and processes nutrients, it creates carbon dioxide, which your lungs expel as you exhale. A similar process occurs with the digestive system to transport nutrients as well as hormones in the endocrine system. These hormones are taken from where they are produced to the organs they affect. All right, let me just finish this slide and then I close. So ascending aorta and the arterial branches. The aorta is the largest artery in the body. It receives oxygenated blood from the left ventricle of the heart. The ascending aorta travels from the heart in a superior direction. The coronary arteries branch off directly from the ascending aorta. I think that was in the picture earlier on. The ascending aorta then becomes the aortic arch, an inverted U-shaped segment. 3 major arteries branch off from the aortic arch: the brachiocephalic trunk, which that branches into the right common carotid artery and right subclavian artery. The left common carotid artery and the left subclavian artery. It's a lot of words, yeah? The carotid arteries brings oxygenated blood to the neck, face, head, and the brain. So everything has its specific function. So the subclavian arteries bring oxygenated blood to the shoulders, right? Each subclavian arteries goes underneath the clavicle or the collarbone. So you see the name kind of specific, so you know where it goes. So the subclavian, the clavicle, collarbone, shoulders, yeah. And the continues as the axillary arteries in the area of the armpit. The axillary artery is divided into the brachial artery, which bring oxygenated blood to the upper arm, and then into the radial artery and ulnar artery, which brings oxygenated blood to the lower arm. So here we have it. So you see how the arteries, the holes are it's thick. So this is the superior vena cava, and these are the arteries that branch off. And here we go. And see, the veins are the little ones, and the capillaries, they're smaller. These have the bulk of work to do, handling the contraction and the movements. Yeah? So let's finish at the fun fact. So the brachial artery takes its name from the bicep brachii muscle of the upper arm. The radial and the ulnar arteries take their names from the radius, which is the bone on the thumb side of the lower arm. And the ulnar, that's supposed to be a bracket, the bone from the little finger side of the lower arm. So you know how the names come about. So we see the arteries and the veins and the capillaries here now, where they go and so forth, how it brings blood throughout the entire body. Yeah? So you see the capillaries are the small ones, the arteries, the big ones that you can see. Yeah? The veins, so forth. Oh, is my 5 minutes up?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you can do an exercise, anybody can. Like you can, everybody seeing me? Let me stop sharing. What's that? Can feel here.
Here, yes.
And you're feeling it, the pulse. Your wrist here, your wrist.
Not seeing you.
Not seeing me. Okay, you can do it in your own time, since as my time is up. All right, have a wonderful Sabbath, everyone, and stay blessed.
Bless you. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Sister Sasha. You too.
God bless, Sister Shasari. Have a good one.
We'll now have our musical item.